Welcome to Newslaundry Chhota Hafta. For the full episode, subscribe because it is behind the paywall and only subscribers get access to uncut, complete content. Newslaundry Hafta is our weekly wrap of all that made the news, all that didn't, and all that should have, and all that shouldn't have. We agree, we disagree, we critique, and occasionally we beat each other up. But it's all good fun. Subscribe.
This is a Newslaundry podcast and you're listening to NL Hafta.
अंग्रेज अपना लगान और न्यूज़ लॉन्ड्री अपना हफ्ता कभी नहीं छोड़ते. वेलकम टू अनदर एपिसोड ऑफ हफ्ता. आई एम अभिनंदन सेखरी. We finally have our old Mandali back with us. Manisha is back after a long break to Goa.
1 week, just 1 week.
It was more than a week.
Oh yeah, it was a week.
Anyway.
Thursday to Thursday.
Mehraj has...
You'll get letters saying, ki, oh, what an exacting boss. Why does he give people trouble every time they go on leaves and all that?
Well, no one was thinking
Even
that,
though
but
you are...
thank you for planting that thought in their mind. But also joining us is Mehraj, who wasn't here last week.
Hello.
Raman sir.
Hi.
And joining us on the phone line from Gujarat is Mahesh Langa. Hi, Mahesh.
Hello.
Just to introduce you to our audience, Mahesh is a senior assistant editor with the Hindu newspaper. He covers governance, politics, and the political economy. He has earlier been with the Hindustan Times as a correspondent covering Gujarat, then too. And you're based out of Ahmedabad?
Ahmedabad, yes.
And are you from there, Mahesh?
Yes, I'm from Gujarat.
I see. Okay. So you've always reported from there?
Mostly, yes.
So you have not had the misfortune of ever being sent to Delhi? कि अब 1 साल दिल्ली में बिता के आओ.
Very briefly in Delhi, when this new government took over in 2014, Hindustan Times had shifted me briefly there.
So, before we get into the politics and all the news discussion, I want to ask Mahesh, because I haven't been to Gujarat in a long time. I used to go there regularly once upon a time, because I used to make TV shows, and
Okay.
a lot of them were food and travel shows.
Oh,
And
wow.
I remember noticing that, I've shot everything from the Anand factory to, that very famous restaurant, I don't know if it still exists, where you don't have to, there's no price, like you pay what you want to. It's in Ahmedabad. It's called Seva Cafe or something.
Seva Cafe, yes, yes.
So in fact, they told me, I said, I'm sure they're horrible people who come and eat every day and not pay anything. He said there was a person like that. And then he did really well, and he was so overcome with guilt that he sent us like shitloads of money, more than he'd ever eaten.
And do you know who runs it?
Who?
It's run by Anar Patel, Anandiben Patel's daughter.
Oh, is that right?
Oh.
Yes.
Oh, she's always run it back in the early 2000s also.
Yes, yes.
Oh, chalo, I have newfound respect for Anandiben Patel. She's brought up good kids. And the food was pretty decent. But one big loss that I had noticed in Gujarat of the upcoming of the expressways were, because the expressways are phenomenal there. And they were the first state where the expressways had become so good that all the dhabas died here. From
Yes,
Gujarat
they
to
don't
Anand.
allow, on the expressway, they don't allow setting up of dhabas.
No, I know, but because now people just use expressways, no one takes those old highways. So I went in searching for this one Kathiawadi dhaba that we had the best food at. It doesn't exist. The guy said, no one stops, na. Business in here.
So
Dhabe ka kya hoga?
maybe accepting this Delhi to Chandigarh, if you go, which is pretty good in terms of dhaba. But if you go from, say, Agra to Lucknow,
Yeah.
it's very bad.
Again, the same thing. That
Again,
expressway.
they have come up every 100 miles. They have come up, the government has made something and
restaurant.
they've just rented it out.
हाँ, वो ढाबे तो
It's like a homogeneous canteen, the
Yeah.
same like structure,
Same.
food,
Yeah, the
whatever,
same.
everywhere.
I think that expressways will mean the dhabas will die. I was just
Die.
telling Rocky Mule that there can never be another highway on a plate.
True.
Because there'll be nothing to shoot.
No, but Delhi to Chandigarh is good.
That is there.
Punjab is great. Anyway,
Yeah, absolutely
everywhere,
great.
All Punjabis do is eat. But coming back to, before we get into the discussion, Manisha will give us the headlines. But can I please request everybody to subscribe and pay to keep news free? Because when the public pays, the public is served. We saw a brief spurt in subscriptions after a very terrible lull. So I hope all of you took advantage of the scheme we had during the Independence Day week. So we have Independence Day packages and Raksha Bandhan gift packages because we don't take any ads from governments or corporations. You fund our journalism. So do check out the link below and get someone something of consequence while also supporting journalism. Thank you. Manisha, let's get the headlines, please.
Yes. Author Salman Rushdie was stabbed multiple times on a stage at an event in New York. Ironically, he was about to give a lecture on the US being an asylum to imperiled writers. Rushdie is recovering. He's off ventilator. His attacker, Hadi Matar, has been arrested. The attack has been linked to the fatwa against Rushdie for his book Satanic Verses. 11 men convicted in the Bilkis Bano gang rape case were released on Monday from a Godhra jail after the Gujarat government approved their application under its remission policy. In her statement, Bilkis said, "No one inquired about my safety and well-being before taking such a big, unjust decision." Meanwhile, on the same day in the morning, during his Independence Day speech, the Prime Minister asked the citizens to take pledge to get rid of everything that insults women. A 9-year-old Dalit boy from Rajasthan died on Saturday after he was beaten by his upper caste teacher for allegedly drinking water from his pot. The Rajasthan police, meanwhile on Wednesday, detailed Bhim Army Chief Chandrasekhar Azad at the Jodhpur airport while he was on his way to Jalore to meet the family of the Dalit boy who died. The BJP on Wednesday dropped Union Minister Nitin Gadkari and Madhya Pradesh Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan from its parliamentary board, the party's highest organizational decision-making body. There are some new names like B.S. Yediyurappa. There was a very interesting and embarrassing Twitter event yesterday, which was the flip-flop on the Rohingya policy.
Yes.
The Home Ministry put out a set of tweets basically snubbing Union Housing Minister Hardeep Singh Puri without really naming him. Chain of events was basically that Puri first tweeted that there's a landmark decision and that 1,000 Rohingya refugees in Delhi would be shifted to flats meant for the poor. And that, he basically said that this is a tight slap on people who were accusing us of things during the CAA protest. Soon after that, the MHA put out a statement saying that there's no such scheme. And meanwhile, adding to this was the Delhi Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia, who said that Rohingyas would never be allowed to settle in the national capital. There was a lot of debates on this yesterday.
Basically, this is chance pe dance.
Huh.
And Hardeep Puri started this off, and then the AAP got hold of
is
it.
always chance.
And they said, "Chalo, ab inko dikha." So anyway, we'll discuss
Seems
this.
like the trigger was an ANI report though. Like the first instance of it reporting was an ANI
So
report, which
these
created
people
some...
talk to each other, like ministries and stuff?
Oh, I thought you meant ANI and the Home Ministry.
They do.
They do.
That's beyond doubt.
Okay. FIFA has suspended the All India Football Federation due to undue influence from third parties. The ban means India will not be able to host the FIFA Under-17 Women's World Cup, which was scheduled to be held in the country between October 11th and 30th. High Court has ordered FIR against BJP leader Shah Nawaz Hussain in a rape case. Kashmiri Pandit organization in the valley on Tuesday asked the members of the community to leave the valley after Sunil Kumar Bhatt was killed by suspected militants. They have also issued a statement saying that they've been completely failed by the administration and the government and the judiciary there. The Karnataka police on Monday banned the gathering of 4 or more persons in Shivamoga for 3 days after Hindus and Muslims clashed over a poster of Hindutva ideologue Vinayak Damodar Savarkar being placed in Amir Ahmed's circle in the district. 23 out of 32 ministers in the new Bihar cabinet have declared criminal cases against themselves. This is what a report of ADR says. The Punjab government on Saturday issued a notification allowing pensions for MLA for just one term. It's called One MLA, One Pension Bill. Meanwhile, Nirmala Sitharaman, Union Finance Minister, has advised states offering social welfare schemes to check their financial strength and make budgetary provisions accordingly. The Reverie discussion is still in news. There was this whole exchange between the Tamil Nadu Finance Minister and Rahul Kaval, which has also gone viral.
In fact, all the channels seem to have woken up late on this Reverie debate because yesterday, before suddenly they started having this Reverie
because
debate.
I think the Tamil Nadu Finance Minister has made it really lively. I mean, he raised some questions which were, the arguments were just too good.
The Enforcement Directorate on Wednesday named actress Jacqueline Fernandez as an accused in a money laundering case involving alleged conman Suresh Chandrasekhar.
Exchange is very interesting. And of course, this headline is not from India, but I think it's significant. It tells you about the politics that we have to look forward to over the next 2 years. Is Dick Cheney, once upon a time the most hated man among liberals, his daughter, who has taken a principled stance against
so-called principal stance.
Against Donald Trump, has lost her Congress. She was in the Congress, right? She thought
in
the primary, yes.
Primary,
So she's lost the primary to an earlier employee of hers, not employee, but she used to work in her office because she went up against Trump. So that's interesting.
In a state with 6 lakh
Wisconsin.
population, right?
Wisconsin, yeah, I think.
Wyoming.
Very small.
Wyoming, yeah, sorry, Wyoming, correct. Wyoming.
This case was special in the sense that it was probed by the central agency CBI. So there is a legal position on that is that any remission that is to be granted has to be done in concurrence with the center. Here the state government is saying that this direction from the Supreme Court was only limited to the state of Gujarat. So Supreme Court direction is also quite kind of vague. It did not say that go for do as per the legal rules and norms. So I think government of Gujarat took benefit of that and they released the convicts. Radheshyam Shah, who was the original petitioner in the Supreme Court, he told media, he gave interviews to local media that they were implicated by the, without naming the Congress, because when they were sentenced, there was a Congress government in power at the center. So he said that they were implicated for following a different ideology, and they were victim of political conspiracy. He and others, they said that they had nothing to do with the crime that was that was committed, but they were implicated by the CBI. So in that way, this case was quite special, and I don't know what kind of prompted the Gujarat government to go for take this decision in such a haste without probably I have spoken to many people and they don't know from where this who took the final decision and how it happened.
And the irony is Tista Sittleward and another IPS officer who built up this case, the two persons who really made this case and these persons got convicted, both of them are in the jail.
Right.
Tista and this.
Yes. RBC Kumar. Yes.
Yeah. And one thing I want to ask you, this is, the Muslims were also convicted in 2002, that Godhra train accident. Okay.
Yes.
They have also spent, I think, more than 14 years in the jail. So are you aware if they have filed such a petition for remittance or if that remittance was not given to them?
Yeah, on what grounds? That would be interesting. I think this is clearly consolidating your base because the Gujarat election is end of this year. I mean, I can't see any other reason. Something like this doesn't happen by chance.
Further polarization?
That's how they win, polarization.
That's the only thing.
I think one thing is clear, that remission is an executive decision, and two members of the BJP were part of this committee, one of them MLA from Godhra. So it really hinges on the two of them. And one thing, I mean, Mahesh has elaborated well on this, but the severity of the crime is the first criteria.
Yes.
Murder of a 3-year-old girl in front of her mother and gang rape of the mother. I mean,
I don't see how Jyoti Singh Goya is Nirbhaya as she's known.
And in fact,
how that is any worse than this? If
and
those guys
this comes 2 days after the speech made
on the same day.
On
the same day, sorry.
And I was exactly coming to this. I remember the outrage that had happened when Leslie Adwin, a British documentarian, was in India and she had interviewed the rapists.
Yeah.
And there was a furor on TV channels that banned this movie. NDTV was about to air it.
Yeah.
So NDTV was blacked out. And
after that, the Tihar jail changed its rules that they weren't allowing any interviews.
And this found no space in primetime discussions. At least we, till today, recording of the show Thursday, we saw, and especially we looked at the women news anchors. Navika, Rubika, no discussion.
I think that's the more important aspect of this. I mean, the legal technicalities aside, whether you are eligible for remission, whether you should get second chances, that's part of this thing. And like you said, it's only a principle if it's applied consistently, right? Same like Mahesh also said, I don't think, and I'm not aware of any cases where, say, a Muslim has been remitted after 14 years, which is one of the conditions for remittances. There have been people from Kashmir, elsewhere, who have spent 10 years, 20 years, 30 years in jail, and they have never even been convicted. Without conviction, they have spent those years in jail. But the more basic problem is, so these discourses happen in a framework. And in our case, when we try to analyze these things, we have this framework where there's a rule of law, there's constitution, and everything operates within that. What we tend to forget is that doesn't apply here. That applies in more civilized societies.
So are you saying that the perception is that you cannot even hope to win an election in Gujarat if you condemn rapists and murderers? Is that the current political wisdom there?
That's what it seems to be the case since, there is no...
Wow, how far we've come, huh?
No, but what does that say about what leaders think of their constituencies, yeah? Like what do they think of Gujaratis?
What does it say about our society, yeah? I mean, they probably has some political instinct to know that...
But I think it's cowardice. It's just, everyone can, it's just easy.
I mean, clearly no one got up because he stabbed him 11 times or something. In 40 seconds, or how long it took.
Yeah.
Or maybe 40 times in 11
so
seconds.
Thought maybe they're going to make a point on him being imperiled. Like everyone was obviously shell-shocked, and then, of course, the police came in and caught the guy and rushed him to the hospital.
Politically, I think it is completely short-sightedness of the BJP. It was Vajpayee's government which had given him the visa. Salman Rushdie, the first visa to visit India. He came to India, for the first time. Vajpayee had given it. And now when he was attacked, so even if the BJP condemns it, I think it goes in favor of them.
Also, you can't criticize somebody else when your own house is not in order. These kinds of things have been happening here for a long time. Gauri Lankesh, Davolkar, all the other people, and people are being killed. This is basically a blasphemy offense, right? People are being killed for cow slaughter every single day in this country, are attacked. So what are they going to say?
Yeah, I think
they could have used the whole Muslim extremism.
But I think what Manisha says is, seems to make sense that he's been such a huge critic of theirs, and anyone who's been a critic of theirs
is no friend of theirs.
They didn't even make a statement when, a Pulitzer Prize winning photographer of India, just because he was Muslim and had clicked that photograph, Danish, they didn't make any statement. Like other countries were congratulating him posthumously and all, but the country he's from said nothing. So now basically between Delhi and the central government, we're saying, who is more heartless?
Yeah,
I mean, it was a question of, अरे बारिश पड़ गई, हमने तो उनके ऊपर से टारपोलिन भी हटा ली. अरे ओले पड़े, हमने तो पत्थर भी मार दिए.
That's a nice dark satire thing to do.
My theory is, maybe presumption, that I think there was some confusion because this housing minister, I think he must be coordinating with the PMO. The idea, I feel, was to shift all of them to EWS, which is going to serve as good as jail.
A refugee camp.
Detention center.
Detention center.
Achha.
And then, whenever they are being deported, fine. But till then, they would not have moved out of that.
Yeah, they couldn't go anywhere.
I feel that this was the idea.
Correct.
This was the idea, and something went wrong.
I think that's the tweet. That is the idea. That you pretend to do something while you're doing something else. That's why he tagged PMO also, right?
The idea was to trap
But the very first line of his tweet is a lie. India's not always welcomed refugees.
Yeah. What is the whole CA thing about? Yeah, elections have been fought.
You are even throwing your own Muslims.
Very, very weird. The whole thing was very strange.
All of you listening in, the Chhota Hafta, do subscribe so you can listen to the entire Hafta. We will see you again next week with the Hafta. Till then, subscribe, pay to keep news free, because when the public pays, the public is served. When advertisers pay, advertisers are served. Thank you. Goodbye.
All the Newslaundry podcasts are available on Stitcher, iTunes, and any other podcast platform.
Please subscribe to Newslaundry. Help us keep news independent. To catch all our podcasts on news, pop culture, current affairs and sport, visit newslaundry.com. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Sun liya Afrika, mufat khoro. Not to brag or anything, but Newslaundry Hafta features in the top 50 in the world on SoundCloud in the news and politics category for podcasts. So do subscribe and see what you're missing, because when the public pays, the public is served. When advertisers pay, advertisers are served. Subscribe, help keep news independent and free. All Newslaundry podcasts are available on iTunes and Stitcher and any other podcast platform.